for us. You guys take it easy. Okay, this is a, I'm going to try and keep this as a quick video. Might even edit it, and I'll edit that part out. Gracie, take it easy. Come on, be careful, be careful. There you go. Okay. Welcome to Washington in the winter. It's cold, I won't be out here very long. It's wet, I won't be out here very long. It's briefly a little bit of sunbreak and a little bit of blue sky, except for where we've got chemtrails all over. Any event though, the purpose of this video is to call attention to the censorship that's going on from Google. Google has run through and has been tightening down some algorithms on the alternative media. This is specifically including those media that are involved with gold and silver, Bitcoin, and alternative media investigating the elites at any level, alternative media reporting on conspiracy theories, and alternative media dealing with woo-woo subjects, oddly enough. And so woo-woo would be, you know, maybe zombies in Haiti, that kind of thing. I ran a quick little series of tests, not definitive by any means. These tests did a bit of regression analysis on the viewers being reported by YouTube on a number of sites and cross-compared them to more specific sites of the same kind that are not within that frame. So in other words, the sites for RT, for our buddy JSNP4, for Bix Weir at Road to Ruta, the SGT Report, Finance and Liberty, Silver Doctors, Wall Street for Main Street, Crush the Street, and any number of other ones from that that I just would be too numerous to get into. But those were the ones that I checked, doing a quick run on the statistics that YouTube is reporting. And those statistics have the generalized trends over these past 2 months be down on viewership and probably reported ad revenue to these sites. And it's very curious that all these sites have the same kind of descending pattern within their within a chart drawn on their viewership. And so all of these sites appeared to be on an upward trend through to about June of last year. And curiously, from that point on, we know that Google has been tweaking some of their algos, specifically those that are used to depreciate site views and kick out what they used to call link spammers. They now have re-identified and repurposed some of this software for use against what they're entitling as fake news. Let's please note here, fake news is a label that is applied to truth by those who are lying. So anytime anybody says to you, you know, so-and-so is fake news, and they're the mainstream media, they're lying, and they're telling you, that guy's over there telling you the truth, but I don't want you to know it. So the fake news algorithm push seems to be including some of the anti-spam features or cleanup features or anti-gaming feature software that Google writes, like Penguin and Panda and a few of the others that are dealing with the links once they've been indexed and swept up. So, insofar as it goes, it's just a report I think people will notice over this last month and this current month in terms of their AdSense payouts, that their revenues have taken a 26.5% and greater fall, just based on the downward trend of the regression analysis on the viewership that's publicly available. I've also had this happen to our site, my Clif High site. I've noticed the corresponding results on the analytics on the Half Past Human site as well. So this is sort of a heads up to the people that are running all of these sites. If you're involved in anything that touches gold, silver, Bitcoin, economic conspiracy, if you're using bad language about banks, if you're using bad language about the Hillary Clinton machine, if you're using pejorative words about Pizzagate or pedophilia, if you're mentioning these subjects, you will be categorized as fake news by their algorithms. And they're very subtle about it. These people are not going to slap you up and cut you off at the knees. They're not going to do it that way, but their approach is not. You can't really combat the this. This is not something you'll be able to sue over. So let me put that thought right out of your mind. I mean, you can if you want. Go ahead, hire an attorney and sue them. It won't gain you. First off, the court system favors them. They own it, and they're going to win. And they'll probably end up using the opportunity to get you in a public forum to make you look bad. But as they've done recently with a couple of people that were, one guy was a link spammer, the other fellow was a legitimate business. They both sued because of the way that they were handled by Google, and both lost, and both ended up having to pay Google some really horrific lawyer fee for losing the suit. So anyway, now, so in terms of the response, this is all being done linguistically. Okay, so they're not looking at your ugly pictures and saying, let's get that face and mark it. The first time they do that, yes, that is true. So let me say that once your site has been marked linguistically, your face will be identified, and then those videos that you appear in will also be flagged and slotted over into the fake news bin, so to speak, and the algos will start working on any site that you appear in. So I can suggest that in spite of their best efforts, if I were to be interviewed in a video by Casey Neistat. Okay, he's the golden-haired CNN sellout. He pimped for Hillary publicly, got trashed for it. He not only did that, he was caught editing out the bad words that were being said about him on the comments in real time for days after this event. And then he tried to alibi it and cover it up with a bunch of other videos, and then ultimately he sold out to CNN around the time of the election and has been basically a CNN sellout ever since. Now, he still has a lot of subscribers on YouTube. He's good at making videos. His politics and everything aside, his presentation is good. So let's say that he had 5 million subscribers, which is probably fairly close or even under his real subscriber load. If I were to be in a video with him, likely I wouldn't have to reference any of the language for anything that the masters of Google have decided to call fake news. Okay, I probably don't have to use any of those words. They probably have my profile identified as soon as it's analyzed by YouTube in putting it into the racks and stacks at the YouTube selection. It would probably be shifted over, and I bet you that video, even though it was with Casey Neistat, and he has 5 million viewers, and almost every one, or 5 million subscribers, and almost every one of his videos gets, a million views in the first 6.5 hours, or whatever it is, whatever the metrics are. I bet you that the metrics on that particular one would be way down, because they would not want to encourage this association in any way, shape, or form. And I also am of the opinion that the way that software works, they would be caught out in their own trap. So in other words, if I were to do that with Casey Neistat, I would prove to him that the manipulation is going on, because his stats would then start taking a hit before they could manually correct them. The algos worked that fast. Once it started analyzing, saw that I was in that video, it would then slot over and flag his channel, and the algos would start working on his site as well. And so he would start seeing revenues plunge and so on. Now, someone would go and take him out of the list because he's the fair-haired boy. But nonetheless, we would be able to, and I'm postulating, this is speculation, that we could demonstrate that this is going on. So that might even be a tactic. If some of the big profile people whose hits are down, like Peter Schiff, Max Kaiser. If some of these people were to be interviewed with CNN or, you know, the Clinton News Network or MSNBC or some of these guys, you could then plot to see if we could catch the mainstream lying propaganda media in the same algo problems that are being generated by Google for the rest of us. So that's a suggestion, actually, to use it as a guerrilla tactic. You know, if you're tainted and you stink and you're covered with tar and mud and stuff, one thing you can do is go slap the guy in the back that's wearing the tux. You know, hi guy, how you doing? Take a big load of this stinking mud. So it's just something to do. Now, there are other approaches, okay, in a much more serious vein. So collectives can be formed. We could do a Grange style, a YouTube Grange, right, where people with a like mind or basically common enemy decide to take a common stand against that approach and overcome the obstacles being presented. And so there's a lot of different ways to do this. There's tweaks we can make on our own sites. In terms of how we do our descriptions and how we do our meta tags. There's language we can leave out and other language we can bring in that will cause the algos to get quite confused. So one thing you might do is to go and analyze those sites that are not being hassled by the fake news censorship algo, and you would see that their description sets, especially their meta tags, are of a certain nature, and that could be replicated and put into our sites. Now, it would only momentarily work. It would only work for a little while until a human saw what was going on and made a tweak to the algo such that they discounted that. But as soon as they do that, the human falls into our trap, and all of those sites that we stole those meta tag templates from, they also become enmeshed into this. And so it's a tactic that was developed by Che Guevara when he was fighting communist revolutionary war. Basically, he was just a really pissed fellow all the time, and he developed some good tactics. And one of them is, if I'm living in a village and they come and beat up me, if the people around me also get beat up, then usually they don't turn against me, they turn against the people that are beating us up, and we form a larger collective. And that's the thinking here, that as we embroil more and more people in this, as we taint more people with our language, the algos become much broader in their impact, much more confused. The impact is spread out over a larger segment. It ameliorates the sharp division in viewerships, and so we gain back some because everybody's being flattened down, and they'll have to continually adjust their algos to respond. So there's that aspect of it. We can do it that approach. There's other linguistic approaches. Boris, knock it off. Other linguistic approaches that can be done to impact the algos. Bear in mind, this is all being done with language. So if you're tricky about language, you can confuse the software because it's just being written by a bunch of guys who don't really want to do it. Bear in mind that, okay? I've worked IT. Seriously, for 20 years. And inside the organization, there's some poor fellow down there that's got to deal with the language and come up with solutions to implement these wild-ass ideas that come from on high from these people that want to implement political stuff in what is a technological engineering environment. And so to do that, they're going to have to work their asses off to get this word but not that word, get this word with that word but not these 5 other words. Otherwise, we're going to piss off these advertisers. There's something else. There's another tactic. If you can taint any of their big name advertisers, boy, this whole thing starts blowing up right away. By taint, I mean, find a good Coca-Cola video, figure out some way to get yourself involved with it. And Coca-Cola, then, hey, they're not going to want to have anything to do with YouTube, Google. They're going to start yanking advertising revenue, or pick a beer company or somebody who's doing commercials on YouTube that you have to sit through and look at. Any of those guys, once their language starts becoming tainted, or once we start using it. So there's another tactic, okay? And that is that you will notice that Pizzagate is built, a lot of it is built around language. The language being the hidden code that, you know, hot dog equals male prostitute, and all of this kind of disgusting, this equals that kind of child, this equals that kind of a child, and so on, within the pedophilia there. And so the language was used as codes, and it went by. No one ever saw it or paid attention to it because they weren't clued into it until now. Okay, well, we can do that as well. We can do it in the reverse. So we could start deciding to make use of language already adopted by and in use by and likely to continue to be used by advertisers who pay money to the big G spot and the little y, little YT, right? And so we could use the same language that they used, and we can alter the context. So we could say from now on, for instance, that the Coca-Cola, hey, Coca-Cola, that's a word for censorship. Oh, I don't want none of that Coca-Cola on my site. Can't stand that Coca-Cola stuff, right? And so we start doing that. The algorithms pick up on the fact we now have Coca-Cola being used on all these, sites that are non-person sites, you know, like our sites. We're not good people. We're in the fake news category. And so we can do it even at a brand name and taint brand names that way. If we use them and adopt them to mean specific things, then they become tainted within the algos and tainted for use by the MSM. This is how slang comes along. And this is why when you find your parents and grandparents using your slang, you know that word is dead. You're not going to ever use that word. It's that same sort of a social effect within the algo itself. So basically what I'm saying is there's a lot of levels of vulnerability within the algorithms. We can individually, I would really recommend that, as individual sites, pursue an experiment to see what we can do because, hey, it won't hurt. Nothing you can do now is going to make this situation any worse. The algorithms are already tuned against you. I've been watching this for a couple of weeks now, and it's like pretty serious. The drops are recording about 26% across the board on all these sites that I can identify linguistically. So you can't hurt the situation. You're going to get dinged. It's going to get worse. Their idea is to slowly... This is the way Google works, by the way. Google doesn't come along and flip a switch and turn things on or off. They come along one day and they load a chunk of software that has basically the functionality to say, hey, I'm here, I'm cooperating, let's see if I can make any disturbances, but doesn't do any real work. And then maybe over months, they take out a comment here in the software, recompile it, and put it into work. And then they test that section and let it work for days. And then they test the next one. So this is a process of software engineering where they intrude into the working server environment, not with a complete swap over, which can be disruptive no matter what, but with this gentle, continual intrusion of new code that they test and work and so on. This is akin to, linguistically, what we're dealing with, ratcheting down on a valve. So if your revenues are cut 26% now, you can be quite sure in another few months that you will be able to add another 26% to that have been lopped off of your revenues and your viewers by this process, as they grab this word, as they grab that word and put these together and say, oh, look, you know, these guys always use these words this way. Now, what they're doing, how they're doing that is what this thing called machine learning. And the machines don't learn. They're just picking this stuff up, making some adjustments to the relationship of these words and putting it in a little database bin over here, and they retrieve it later and compare all your words against the stuff that's in the database. And so it's not machine learning, right? And this is where it's vulnerable. There's no cognition involved with that. As I say, all they're doing is picking up words and putting them into various bins in their database for comparing to words later on. So we can claim words collectively as the alternative media and make these words our own, and we can give them our own contexts on them, and it can be an alternative media slang, if you will. And that's going to confuse the hell out of the algos, especially if we start slanging all of the MSM propaganda media language. So if we consistently use and fake news didn't work for them, it didn't have the buzz that it wanted, right? So now they're going to go and they're going to come up with other labels. Whenever they come up with a new label for this approach, we need to take that label and get it in such a way that we're using it, it goes right into one of these bins, which it's compared to, and then it's useless to them. So you see, this is like I was saying in another video that was private to some people about this same subject, that we got to go guerrilla on this. in my way of thinking, right? And we can do it individually, we can do it collectively. There's no conspiracy involved. We're simply forming a collective, like the Global Antitrust, the Gold Antitrust Action Committee guys, you know, GATA, where they formed a collective to deal with the fact that somebody was beating them about the head with a stick, driving down the gold price and manipulating it all. Took them a while. I don't think we would be in the same kind of situation because, as I say, my approach is not to sue. I don't think there's any point in that. I think they're quite perfectly within their rights to be buttheads and to be fuckers and to be trying this. But it doesn't mean I have to sit here and take it, especially since it's rather intriguing. It's in my bailiwick here, which is linguistics, and I've been doing programming, and I can think of a few ways to basically come along and make their algos my bitch. So, and I'm going to tell that bitch, you sit down. I don't want you barking anymore. And it's going to do it. Once I discover these techniques, I'll pass them out, but bear in mind there will be someone over our shoulders at the IT department, some poor bastard like myself, probably 25 or 30 years younger, who's being paid to implement these wild-ass schemes from these fuckers at the top that are the masters of the big G-spot. And there you go, guys. So now the big G-spot is a pejorative term. It's now tainting, as it goes along in other videos and shows up elsewhere. It'll taint, it'll be connected, and then so it'll start bringing all the porno sites. Oh man, you're going to piss everybody off because all the porno sites will start getting their views cut because we're going to take some of their language away. Anyway, so I think something needs to be done. I think we need to have a discussion about this. I decided to do it publicly because there's a lot of benefit to involving the public. I mean, I know for a fact my site's gone down and others around me, and I bet you that the way that they're ratcheting this down, it's heading up to the biggies like Stefan Molyneux and Alex Jones and RT and some of these other sites, right? And they're going to just ratchet it down, turn that valve a little bit. See who complains, turn it a little bit more. Anyway, so a few tactics there for us. It's all language, be creative, and we can win this. Because if we taint enough language, it's our language. And that algo is my bitch. Bye.